Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star Sports podcast presented by First Federal. It's Wednesday, August 17th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Chiefs training camp in St. Joseph is winding down, and it occurred to me we haven't spent much time discussing Patrick Mahomes, and that's a great thing for the Chiefs, that Mahomes isn't a story. As Herbie Teope and Sam McDowell discuss on today's show, no quarterback drama is a good thing. We discuss Mahomes and his season ahead with a new cast of wide receivers. After a break, you'll hear from the newest Chief, Danny Shelton. He is large and looks to take charge on the defensive line. Let's get started. Good afternoon. Welcome to SportsBeat Live from Chiefs Training Camp. We're presented by First Federal Bank. This is the show where we talk Chiefs with the people in the media who know them best, and with you. Send us your questions and comments and talk Chiefs with us. Herbie Teope is here, so is Sam McDowell. Hope you guys are doing okay. So the Chiefs are at practice, have completed practice number 16 at training camp. 2 more to go. Finish line is in sight. Herbie, you'll be heading home for the final time on Thursday. Hey, let's get to any news that happened today at training camp. I understand Juju Smith did not practice today. What was the thought there?
Yeah, he didn't practice because of a sore knee. And the other 2 players, obviously Blake Bell was not back at practice with the hip flexor injury. Lucas Niang remains on the PUP list, and as well as punter Tommy Townsend was still absent because of family reasons. He was excused. Butker was back to practice after dealing with a sore ankle on Monday. And then the other news of the day, the Chiefs are back finally to 85. They released defensive lineman Austin Edwards as well as wide receiver Devin Gray. So they are at 85, and the next roster cuts will occur next Tuesday when they have to go from 85 to 80.
Okay, of course, that's not the big one. The big one comes after the 3rd preseason game when they have to go from 80 to 53, and that of course is when we run the ticker, the cut day ticker for the Chiefs. So overcast day, rainy day. I thought for a while it looked like Danny Shelton got between the sun and the practice field and was blocking out the sun. He was, of course, a subject today. He spoke to the media, as did Steve Spagnuolo, as you saw in our run-up to the show. We're going to hear from Danny Shelton later, an edited version of Danny Shelton. Those who were there know what I mean. Danny just casually dropped an F-bomb today, but that's okay. That's all right. Not a problem. But before we get to that, I wanted to talk to you guys about a player that we haven't spent much time discussing in preseason, and what a luxury it is for the Chiefs to have a player like Patrick Mahomes. Just simply, we spend so much time discussing the newcomers, the draft class, the free agents, what we've seen, and we just take for granted that the Chiefs, oh, by the way, have, I don't know, I'd call him the best quarterback in the NFL under with a contract that's going to keep him here for such a long time. I guess we can talk to people who used to cover the team. Herbie, I don't think you were around during the Matt Castle days.
Oh, yes, I was.
I'm sorry. So listen, there was times when the quarterback position was a primary story in training camp. Not that way for the Chiefs, really, since Andy Reid's been here with Alex Smith and now Patrick Mahomes. So Sam, I'll start with you. What has training camp been about for Patrick Mahomes, and have you seen anything new or different or kind of fresh about him up in St. Joe?
I don't know about the second part, but this training camp I feel like is as important as one he's had since the last 3 years, I'd say maybe. I mean, Vahe keeps phrasing it as his screen of view is different than it has been for the past 3 years. Like when he is in the shotgun and he looks out at the guys around him, it's as new of a group as he's had since he's been here. I mean, Tyreek Hill has been his leading wide receiver every year that he's played quarterback in Kansas City, and he's gone. And he's a very specific type of wide receiver that changed the way defenses played against the Chiefs. And so without him, I think that you're going to see, he's implementing a new playbook for one, not completely new, but I think there's more new layers this year than there has been at any point in his career. And then also you're going to see different defenses against the Chiefs. Last year we talked about how consistent the defensive schemes were against the Chiefs. They're going to be different this year, and that's going to require some mental aptitude adjustments from Patrick Mahomes. So you're right, Blair. I mean, there's so many other new faces around here that they're all worthy of conversation, but those new faces have changed the consistency too. To change the guys who are still here. I think Kelsey is going to be a little different this year, and certainly Patrick Mahomes has a lot of differences to get accustomed to.
Yeah, all the new faces, and so many of them just orbit around Patrick Mahomes, don't they? That is how significant he is to this team. Herbie, I thought about this morning. Can you make a case? I think you can, but I want to hear your case about this, that the Chiefs have the best quarterback situation in the NFL. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that because you have a young stud. You have an elite quarterback. All right, if Sam Mellinger were still here, we'd all be drinking right now, okay? Because I can say that I've been fortunate enough to cover two elite franchise-type quarterbacks consecutively. You go from Drew Brees, and then you come here to Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, and they have one thing in common: stability. You mentioned the fact that we're not talking about the starting quarterback throughout training camp here. That's because he's established. Not many teams around the NFL have that luxury right now. Their beat writers are all about the quarterback. But for us, it's like, yeah, ho-hum, Patrick Mahomes is here. But you can make that case that he is the best quarterback. I mean, MVP, he's check. Super Bowl MVP, check. All-Pro, check. Pro Bowls, check. So many NFL records that he set at such a young age. And the Chiefs are built for the future because of Patrick Mahomes.
I was thinking about this yesterday to piggyback off of what Herbie just said. May or may not be writing something on this, but it's not just Patrick Mahomes. It's just the lack of, I guess, drama, for lack of a better word, that comes around him. You look at some of the other places that seemingly have pretty good quarterback situations. Baltimore. I mean, look at the contract situation with Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray. I mean, he gets his contract, but then, oh, by the way, the contract has language in it that requires him to be studying. Then Cliff Kingsbury has some comments about the fact that, oh, I gave Kyler the headset for a day in practice to let him know this isn't as easy as he thinks it is. And it's just these situations that constantly are reminders that, oh, by the way, there's not a whole lot of drama with the quarterback you got here. He's going to be here 10 years. He gets paid less than some of these other guys we're talking about. And you don't have these like side conversations. And part of that is certainly due credit to Andy Reid as well. Just, the quote unquote program that he runs. But a lot of it has to do with the quarterback they have here.
Yeah. And if I can piggyback off of that as well, I mean, we can talk about quarterbacks for days.
Piggyback off my piggyback. There you go, Harvey.
The handoff. There you go. You mentioned the drama part. And Blair, you remember how it was when Matt Castle was here. We always had to endure Scott Pioli coming on any radio show or even talking to us. Matt Castle is our quarterback. How many times did we hear that? And then you brought in Kyle Orton, and then, goodness gracious, who else was in that mix? Brady.
Brody Croyle.
Yeah, Brody Croyle. There we go. I mean, so many names tossed in there, but
it wasn't Brady. Just to be clear, it was not Brady.
It was not Tom Brady. But just so much drama that Sam mentions there, and we don't have that here anymore. Andy Reid has really stabilized the franchise, first with Alex Smith, and now it's going into the future with, once again, the best quarterback in the NFL.
I love how when there's an interception in camp, it becomes such a big story, right? It's they wow, Mahomes got picked off. Wow, that's amazing. Who got that? And even yesterday when it was Fenton, I forget if it was a pick or a breakup, and he jawed with Mahomes about it a little bit. I just think there's our camp drama.
It was a hold. Mahomes was right on that, by the way. You go back and watch. He held Travis Kelce. Herbie, you got to mention that list you just sent us of the quarterbacks that were here, because that really illustrates the point of what we don't have now.
Yeah.
Frozen up, Herbie. I'll finish up the list. Your first camp was in 2006, and of course in River Falls. Some of the names over the years: Damon Ewart, Tyler Thigpen, Matt Castle, of course, to Alex Smith. You can throw in the Tyler Palcos in there as well, and just quite a cast of characters that must have made for very interesting training camps at River Falls and in the first year or so of St. Joe. So let's I'll tell you what, guys, we'll have plenty of more opportunities to talk about Patrick Mahomes and what I think is probably one of the more critical developments of training camp, and that is Mahomes getting a comfort level with his new targets, Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore. We heard from Moore today at the media tent, but I think that probably deserves a show in itself that we'll do as the season approaches. But let's do this. Let's take a break, an early break today. Now we'll come back and answer some questions. We're going to hear on the other side of the break from Danny Shelton, who sounded like he was pretty happy to be in Kansas City.
When I bought my first home, I was searching for listings and negotiating all on my own. Now I'm back in the housing market, and I could not imagine doing that again. But then I found First Federal Bank of Kansas City's expert loan advisors at ffbkc.com. They were kind, knowledgeable, and available 24/7. My loan advisor answered my questions and helped me feel confident all the way through closing. I trust First Federal Bank because they understand banking is personal. Apply today for a home loan at ffbkc.com/homes. First Federal Bank of Kansas City. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Blair. There are several ways to access the Star Sports section. Let me tell you about a couple of them. There is Sports Pass. For $12.99 a month, you get unlimited digital access to all of the Star Sports content, including beat writing, columns, features, pretty much everything we write. The deal renews monthly until you tell us to cancel. For $159.99 a year, you get everything the Star has to offer digitally, including sports and the e-edition. Go to kansascity.com and drop down to the bottom of the page where it says Start a Subscription for more information. Your support has never been more important. As always, thanks for reading and listening. Back on SportsBeat Live, Chiefs Training Camp edition with Herbie Teope and Sam McDowell. Let's one more thought on the quarterback situation. Mike asks if the Chiefs will keep 3 quarterbacks. What do you think, Herbie?
That's wow. We were actually talking about this in the media tent the other day, but this is going to come down to what positions they want to sacrifice. Last year, they started off the active 53 with just 2. It was Chad Henne and obviously Patrick Mahomes. They brought Shane Buechele in probably around midseason because the Arizona Cardinals were sniffing around trying to sign Buechele from the practice squad to their active roster, and the Chiefs said, we're having none of that, so they brought him up to the active roster. I don't know if they can afford to do that this year. If they want to keep 6 wide receivers, 4 tight ends, if they want to keep 6 linebackers, you're going to be sacrificing something there for a third quarterback that's hardly ever going to be seeing any action. So that's a very good question, but that remains to be seen.
Boy, it would run against what they've done the last couple of years, right? I mean, if they did, but as you mentioned, they had to put Buechele on the active roster a year ago. Louisa says hello. Hello to Louisa. What about sticking with the offense? Michael asks about Ronald Jones. Was he still buried on the depth chart again today? Was he? Yeah, so at least running 4th, right?
Yeah, 3rd and 4th. He worked with Shane Buechele and Dustin Crum. So yeah, the pecking order today was kind of interesting because they kind of tweaked it a little. In recent days, we saw obviously Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, and then Isaiah Pacheco. But today it started off with Edwards-Helaire, Pacheco, and then McKinnon.
Gotcha. Okay. Sam, what about the back to the quarterback? Shane Buechele or Chad Henne, if it comes to that, if that's a possibility. I liked what I saw from Buechele on Saturday, and I haven't liked really what I've seen from Chad Henne in some of the some of the camp drills. Possibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Buechele is like a really solid number 3, and I don't think the Chiefs should be keeping a number 3. I mean, it would be different if they thought that they needed to develop a quarterback, and potentially they could develop him into like a backup. But the Chiefs are a team that is built right now to win Super Bowls, and if Shane Buechele is on the field, they're not going to accomplish that goal. So I think they can find pieces that are actually valuable towards that goal. Even if it's special teams guys, even if it's an extra wide receiver. I think 4 tight ends. I mentioned the possibility of keeping 4 tight ends. We'll see how long Blake Bell's injury is, if that maybe makes that decision for them. But all 4 of them bring something to the table, and it's something different to the table to where it's valuable to keep all 4 of those guys. If Shane Buechele's on the field, the team's in trouble.
So with Danny Shelton, we'll switch to defense here. He brought it up during the news conference today. I guess I didn't make the Seattle Seahawks connection, but that's quite a Seahawks group they have there now, really, with Carlos Dunlap and Frank Clark, all with some Seattle roots. Brian asks if the defensive line could be or observes that the defensive line could be a strength this year. I look, they in their few series against the Bears, they look good. The pitch to shutout in the first half that got that obviously changed in the second half with the third and fourth string guys. So what do you think, Herbie? The addition of Shelton, we've only seen him in pads for a day and a half, basically a couple of series on Monday, and then he practiced a little bit more today. Is this a plus for the Chiefs, his addition? And he is absolutely a space eater. I saw again today where he's taken on 3. I mean, it takes 3 to move him. Is the Chief defensive line, has it gotten better? Because that is, again, we've mentioned on the show, that was a problem in the AFC title game loss to the Bengals last year.
I think that the Chiefs, to your question, I think the Chiefs defensive line got better even before the addition of Danny Shelton. You spend the first round draft pick on George Karlaftis. We saw the effort, in the preseason opener. This is a guy with a nonstop motor who was wired to get in the backfield and disrupt the quarterback. You added Carlos Dunlap at the start of training camp, so he's another good addition. Shelton is just another piece for right now, but my goodness, over the last 2 practices, all of us are watching him out there in the 1-on-1 drills, and we're watching him on the 9-on-7 drills. And you're right. It takes 2 or 3 people to move this guy. And if the Chiefs are looking for someone to fill up the gaps, they're going to have it with Chris Jones and Danny Shelton if he's part of that starting rotation. And Steve Spagnuolo brought it up earlier during his press conference after practice. He mentions if you had those guys up the middle, that frees up the guys on the end. Because now the quarterback doesn't have a place to step up when you've got Shelton or Derek Nottie or Chris Jones or even some of the other guys, Tershawn Wharton in that part as part of that rotation.
Yeah, listen, when we talk about takes 2 or 3 guys to move Danny Shelton, we're talking about quality players. I mean, it's guys on the Chiefs offensive line that at least have graded well in their careers here, quality players, and that's how big this guy. What is he? 345? Oh, he was asked that today, right? I think it was you, Herbie, that asked him about his weight.
I didn't ask him about his weight, but he said he'll play whatever weight the coach is asking him to be. If they want to be 340, he said 40, 50, and of course I think it was PJ Green who mentioned 240, so he kind of laughed. He's like, he hadn't been 240 pounds since he was in mid school. But the guy is, you make a very good point, because there were 2 repetitions over the last 2 days that really jump out to me, and it came against Trey Smith. If you're able to move Trey Smith the way Danny Shelton did, that you can't help but notice that kind of stuff.
Can you imagine if a coach decided that 340 was not enough and you needed to be more like 350? We need you to gain 10 pounds here, Danny. We need you to be more like 350.
We have some special guests here. The Chiefs PR team right behind me, the intern team. Great people there. You got 2 KU Jayhawks. You got Skylar from Rutgers, and you have, oh my goodness, an Iowa State person, Kelsey.
Glad that they felt comfortable enough to interrupt our show. That's good on them. Anyway, all right, let's do this. When the Chiefs sign a new player, I'd like to play a clip of him. So we're going to do that. It's a long one. We've got about 5 minutes. So get comfortable, and let's hear from the newest Chief, Danny Shelton.
I was tired of flying around, and when I heard that Chiefs wanted me, and it was between Jags and Chiefs, I had to go with the Chiefs, and I'm just excited for this opportunity, excited to be here with the guys and try to catch up with them and contribute to, everybody's goal, getting to that championship.
What excites you most about this defense?
I've always been, a fan of Spags and how he runs things, and then Andy Reid too, So just the opportunity to be out here. Obviously, we got these high-caliber players on our team, and just to be around those guys, it excites me to be able to compete with them and, hopefully learn something that I can add to my toolbox,
What is it about Spags' defense that made you a fan?
I think the juice, really. So Spags, he has this kind of energy, you don't want to fuck it up. You don't want to, get on his bad side. And so, and he's smooth with it, so it's like you respect that, and you want to do your best out there. And so you bring in the juice, you get in your playbook, and you do your best to produce.
You had a great rep today, and your teammates really rallied, and then I saw a couple of guys talking to Beach about you and pointing out. What's that like getting welcomed like that?
I'm not gonna lie, I feel good, because I'm coming in mid camp, and a lot of guys don't want to hear a new guy talk and stuff, and so I'm here trying to soak up everything, and add a little knowledge to the younger guys too. So I'm here helping out as much as I can, but it feels great to be welcomed from these guys.
Do you like to be ready to play Saturday?
Honestly, if coach put me in there, I'll be ready. So.
Did you have a visit with the Chiefs? Did you fly in at some point before signing, or did you just visit other teams?
Just visit other teams, yep.
How many teams were in the consideration?
Had Panthers, Raiders, and then the Jags, and then Chiefs. You guys called, and I was ready.
Danny, you bounced around several different teams. I guess at this stage of your career, how much are you looking for maybe if you can have one good year to maybe stick in a certain place for an extended period of time? Sort of place?
I think that's the goal. When you're in the NFL, you never know. You could be on another team in a couple weeks, and so I think every player here has that mindset that I'm going to do my best, and hopefully I'll be able to extend my career here. But that's the same for me. I don't like moving. I don't like having to move my dogs, my kids, and so if I'm able to contribute and coaches see that, and I'm here longer, then I'm here longer.
What do you envision playing next to someone like Chris Jones, who's been a Pro Bowler several times, or a known pass rusher, and you guys sort of working together inside?
Chris Jones is a beast, and I played alongside a lot of beasts, and I'm just gonna do the best that I can to help him out, and do the best I can to help out this defense. That's the overall goal.
You're a fan of Spags and Andy Reid. What are your impressions? You've just been here a little while of the culture here, kind of what it's all about.
Yeah, it's different for me, so it's a new experience. I've been in that Patriots, if you want to call it, organization for past 4 years, and so this is a new structure and a new feel. So I like it. I'm getting used to everything. It's only my second day, and so I'm just ready to fill in wherever they need me to be in.
Danny, you mentioned wanting to find that stability. When you look at your career, why do you think it didn't work out at some of the other teams?
Me, I say it really comes down to coaching style and what they want in their defense. Me, I'm a bigger D lineman, so a lot of guys see me as the run fit guy, and a lot of defenses now have been more like pass rushers and So, I'm honestly just going to be here ready to play wherever they need me and stay on my toes.
You going to bring the lava into the locker room?
I mean, that's the plan. I want to mess up anything, but I want to bring a little bit of me and share my culture with everybody.
Yeah, it seems like you and Teope are similar in size, similar in playing style. You've been a 3-down and 4-down first. Which one do you prefer?
Shoot. I say 4 down, you have a little more fun. 3 down, that's a little more gritty. And that's me. I grew up the hard-nosed football, no gloves and just, smashing somebody in the face. And so I personally like 3 down, one-on-one, bring on double team, bring on triple team, do my best to push the pocket.
What was that question that Herbie asked? If he's going to bring what to the locker room?
It's a Polynesian skirt, lava lava. There's a story with that. Okay, when he was in Cleveland, because remember in 2015 when he was the 12th overall draft pick, he walked out on stage in traditional Polynesian garb, and he had one of those grass skirts on. That's a lava lava. That's part of the Polynesian culture. So when he arrived to Cleveland, he actually helped spread that around, and he taught some of the players about the poly culture.
Cool. That's a cool story.
That is cool. Very cool. And I like also how he kind of accepted the challenge, Herbie, when you asked him about why it didn't work out in other places. Look, it was a good answer too. I mean, everything's every defensive lineman's got to be a pass rusher. I don't see him as that. And you mentioned it. You alluded to it earlier. Spags says if you collapse the pocket, that gives defensive ends the opportunity to do what they do well. I see him as that player, right? Basically just taking up space, collapsing the pocket, taking on double teams, and keeping, making it, easier for Frank Clark, for Michael Dana, for George Karlaftis, for Carlos Dunlap to do their jobs.
I think if anything, it also will help out against the run. If there's one big knock against the Chiefs defense over the past 2 or 3 seasons, we see it all the time. They start off slow, and one of the major issues is against the run. You get a space eater like Danny Shelton in there. We mentioned allowing the pass rushers to flow. That allows the linebackers to flow as well if you're trying to stop the run.
Brian says that don't sleep on Turk Wharton. I agree. I thought he had a nice game on Saturday, and also notices or asks if we're getting a little Dan Saliamua vibes. I remember Saliamua. That was he was back in the 90s. A really good, great, tough player for the Chiefs. So, and Paul wants to know if we're drinking too much Kool-Aid on defensive when it comes to the defensive line. I don't know. I think it's a possibility. This could be a better defensive line than last year. Need more evidence than one half of one game, but it's showed up here at training camp.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that I'd still like to wait and see if this defensive line actually is that much better than it was last year. I think there's more questions about the defensive line than there is anywhere else on the roster right now.
Agreed. All right.
I think on paper it does project to be better, but I'll agree with Sam there. Just like old times, when Sam was my beat partner before he went big time and became a columnist, but we're agreeing on things. We're agreeing on. We're not supposed to be doing that, Sam.
I didn't get to this spot by agreeing with you, Herbie.
All right. Got 2 more of these shows. 2 more opportunities to get some training camp questions to us on Wednesday and Thursday, and then everybody goes home from St. Joe. Chiefs, of course, play Saturday. Of course, Sunday. They play Saturday at 3:00 against the Commanders of Washington, and then it's Thursday night against the Green Bay Packers, also in Arrowhead Stadium. And after that, shortly after that, we'll have a 53-man team and see where it goes from there. Okay, so Sam, Herbie, thanks a lot. Always to our man Monty Davis and to First Federal Bank. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Monty Davis, Randy Mason, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Tip of the cap to Herbie Teope and Sam McDowell for sharing their insights. Morning Sports Edition was 28 pages of Royals coverage, college football, NFL, NBA, soccer, and 5 pages of box scores and other agate. Go to liveedition.kansascity.com for more information. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC.